Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. Okay, so going back to our previous verse. So now we can look at the Sanskrit. So it starts with Stula Sharira Abhimani. So the Atma who identifies with the gross body is now called a sentient being, a sentient, we call us, they're alive, and we call them a subject. And now what happens is, how does this Atma, who is so, free, right, and is not bound and is limitless and infinite, how does this now Atma suddenly gain this sense of limitation? And we said that, see, it's not like there was something that wanted this to happen. Okay? It's not like that this was, all set up and now we're all here to find our way out, and we have to kind of dig our way ourselves out of this samsaric grave. So they have these stories, right? How we committed a mistake once upon a time, and now we're paying the price, and we have to slowly come out. And so these are notions, that people are trying to kind of figure things out, but this is not what the Vedas says, because see, the Vedas is very logical. It simply mentions that it just happens to be this power, Maya. If this power were not to be here, then this would not be happening right now. But this power is here. So now what to do about it? You don't need to remove it, don't need to call it an illusion. This is not an illusion. In fact, what is illusion? The funny thing is, once upon a time, long time ago, when I was in these pseudo-spiritual circles, they call all sorts of things. And, someone asked me, so what were you doing this weekend? And I just said, I was thinking about my life. I was exercising my choices. I was looking into how can I get my life in order. I was exercising my free will. And, and this girl, with beads, counting the beads, she said, there is no free will, free will is an illusion, So this is pseudo, right? And, the only thing that's an illusion, right? The only thing that's an illusion is Jiva Srishti. So Jiva Srishti you can call illusion in reference to the Jiva, because that belongs to the Jiva. It's Jiva stuff. But you cannot call this empirical reality, this Ishvara Srishti, you cannot call this illusion. Because, see, we said wherever there is mithya, that's exactly where satyam is. So to call the world an illusion, you're technically calling everything, including yourself, including everything, the whole thing you're calling an illusion. So now the funny thing is, see, when we say something is an illusion, then we're giving away that we're projecting our own stuff. We're technically projecting our illusion onto other things, and therefore they become illusion in reference to our world, in reference to our ideas. So this means we give ourselves away by calling something an illusion, by showing that, in fact, I'm projecting my own images onto the world, and this world that I'm projecting does not accurately reflect the real world. Therefore, the real world gains the name of illusion. So I gave the world the name illusion through my own projections. Okay? So we have to be careful with what words we use, because every time we label something, and even if we have to be take a moment to retract and ask, from where did this come from? What was the motivating factor? What motivated me to label this in such a way, even if there is no proof of such? So again, this goes back to taking responsibility in the light of this knowledge, and being careful with what we say, what we think, and how we behave. Also, we need to acknowledge that, see, this journey it doesn't end. In fact, when we come out of this class on tomorrow, it's just beginning. So one has to ask themselves now, what one thing or one teaching will I take and reflect upon, and in what ways could I incorporate it into my day-to-day life? Now, I'm feeling hotness already. Yeah, it's probably going to escalate.
So, open?
Yeah. We said speech produces heat. Yeah. So see now, so when this Atma, right? So what's the difference between Brahman and Atma? We know, right? So in other words, when Brahman, when consciousness is from the standpoint of this single jiva, that consciousness is called Atma, called self. But when you talk about consciousness obtaining as existence, the entire existence of the entire world, then this isness that we talk about, this isness is what we call Brahman. So this means there's essentially no difference between Atma and Brahman. This is why we have Mahavakya says, I am Atma Brahman. This self, whoever this self is, we don't need to know it. This self-evident self that's here, that's always present, that one is Brahman. That one is the final reality. The only reason why that one is experiencing oneself as a limited being is because we use the bucket example. Just an analogy, careful, these are just analogies. See, analogies can be powerful because they have something to ruminate upon, they're concrete. And so these examples can be concrete, but we also need to careful not to turn this into, kind of living in the example, because now it's living in the mind. So example is just meant to provide an understanding. Let go of the understanding because every example eventually loses its effectiveness. Yeah? Once upon a time you heard about such examples and you thought they were amazing. And then, now when you hear them again, because you thought about them so much, they're like, yeah, it's an interesting example, but they don't have as much of an impact on you as they once did. So this is why we need to keep on using new examples to overcome this sense of familiarity, because familiarity does not allow teaching. Familiarity is like, I heard this before, so this means we have to keep on being creative to keep on impacting the mind. So this Atma, now, what we call this Brahma Pratibimba. And so the word Pratibimba, see, I haven't defined it. Don't define these words. Don't call it what they call it, reflecting, whatever this is. See, so we use this bucket example. And when you have this one light, one source of light, and the light is obviously shining on all 5 buckets, all 5 people. All of them have their own, different qualities of water. So this means they will all experience a different sense of I am. I am like this, I am dirty, I am pure, I am clean, I am smart, I am not so smart. So now the point of error is to take that adjective, right, I am, and then description, to take that onto oneself, to label the I am as that. So we go far as understanding because there is a recognition of an adjective, because there is a recognition of a trait, because there is a recognition of a characteristic or a sensation or a thought or emotion. Because there is a recognition of that must mean there is someone to recognize that. And that someone, whoever that one is, we don't want to know them, okay? Whoever that one is what we call Atma, okay? Because remember, you cannot, if you try to know this Atma, then you convert it into another thought, and therefore it becomes another object in one's mind. So it's called neti, I don't want to know. So in other words, it's called negation. But at the same time, you cannot deny, even if you negate, there is still an awareness. Someone is awareing the entire negation process. So this means we are, so this pratibimba is another word for it, is what we call a reflecting, you could say a reflecting medium, right? Just what is a medium? It's just a, a medium like that can, reflect light. Simple. So now we have a small reflecting medium, right? They can reflect the sun, and then we have a huge reflecting medium. So what's the difference now? The only difference is a small reflecting medium, a big reflecting medium. What's the big deal? Both of these reflecting mediums are just what? They're shunned by the same sun. They're illumined by the same light. So now, what's the problem if I am a small medium or a big medium? What's the difference? Look at this, if you're a big medium, you're not a small medium. If you're a small medium, not a big medium. So this, in a sense, you could even say that if one were to be Ishvara, then you could not be having a human experience, even though that's strictly incorrect because everything is Ishvara. So we could say that Ishvara is having a human experience, but just metaphorically, okay? The whole point is it's just a medium, and this medium is nothing but what? A production of Maya's nimitta and upadana karanam. And so this Maya and upadana karanam, when it manifests at the macro, at the total, and whether this total is made up of what? Small ones, like little figures there. So the total makes up the whole, and you're just one of those small right now, which is making up the total. Just like the puzzle, a small puzzle piece, and then you put the puzzle piece in there, and you're just one little part. Now sometimes we have a problem with this, because if you look at a puzzle piece, what happens? Someone's the sun, someone's the cloud, and then someone's a dog poop. Now you say, I don't want to be the dog poop. Now we have to be careful here, because every person comes with their own stuff. Okay? So now the problem is when we try to resist our stuff, right? Because the truth is, there's always someone in a more kind of a privileged position. You look at someone else, they go, I wish I could be like them. But they are going, I wish I could be like someone else. You think that Michael Jackson didn't want to be like someone else? He also wanted to be, like someone else. So this means we have a responsibility to understand that your upadhi right now will never be different. You understand? Your upadhi has been assigned, and in this life, you cannot try to make a donkey into a horse. What's going to happen? You take a donkey, and then you put a mane onto the donkey, okay? And you color in the donkey, and you make them look like a horse. But how does the donkey feel inside? Still like the same donkey. So now, see, even after we discover that, I am this upadhi, I am this much, then what do we start saying now? Oh, even though it's all upadhi, my upadhi is no good. You understand? So now, you now took these spiritual words, and now we're making another psychological pressure onto ourselves by now saying, look at what we're saying here. We're saying this power right now is creating millions and infinite amount of forms. And you're just one of these forms right now, sitting, and this is one form also. And the form will be the way that it is until last breath. So does that not imply that at least if one wants some level of happiness, it is our responsibility to acknowledge this upadhi and say it does have imperfections, it does have flaws, and they will probably never go away. So this means there's a level of responsibility to accept the way that we are created because of, when I say we, your body, mind, in the light of this knowledge. So, the light of this all knowledge, all power, I mean. So, all knowledge, all power, one same nimitta upadana karanam. What's different? Forms. You're one form, this is the big form. That's the only difference. But the intelligence and the material is exactly the same between you and Ishvara. In fact, you cannot say that Ishvara is knowledge and power. Knowledge and power is in you right now. The very same knowledge and power that is holding you right now is the same knowledge and power that's holding this entire universe together. So this means, see, we are not away from Ishvara, so there's no question of, looking elsewhere, but acknowledging this presence, and then further, going one step further, because this is not Dvaita. We go one step further. You don't just acknowledge the presence, but then you say, what is the truth of this intelligence and material? And you go to the final reality through understanding, which is Sat and Chit. Okay? So let's see what we have here. So sa eva jivaha prakritya swasmat ishwaram binatvena. So by natural, they want to say by natural ignorance. So we'll correct this. So by natural, by assignment of partial knowledge, because partial knowledge is assigned to make your causal body, naturally you will not know everything. Because partial knowledge is assigned to your causal body, what happens? Whatever came out of that causal body, which is your subtle and physical body, will not know everything, because it did not come from a causal body with all knowledge. It came from a causal body with a little bit of knowledge. And for that reason, whatever comes out of the causal body, then it will not know about this upadhi. It will consider it naturally to be a small being and everything else to be a big being. So this is not an intentional mistake. This is just incidental. So we just incidental just means it's not intentional. It just happens to be so because this is how this order works. Avidya upadhi san atma jiva iti uchyate. So due to this causal body, now atma takes itself as a jiva. And evam upadhi bedat. So due to the upadhi difference, perception is taken as real. Perception between me and the total is taken real. Only because of the upadhi difference. That is it. It's unintentional. Therefore, you can take some comfort. There's no such thing as, I'm just for a moment enjoying this little existence. So what? Let it be. It's because of upadhi. And therefore, yavat paryantam tishtati. So as long as ignorance tishtati remains, what happens? Samsara, so janma marana dirupam samsara na nivartate. As long as that difference between me, notional difference. What kind of a difference? Notional difference. So as long as a notional difference remains different, then what's going to happen? Samsara does not go away, therefore continues this birth and death. Because I, Atma, take myself to be this much. And therefore, I stand to gain the consequences of my past actions. We call this, I want my money back. I've applied actions in the past, and I stand to gain a life to get my results in the future. Therefore, I want to be reborn to continue gaining my results in the future. Just when we talk about karma, I'll get to this.
But Andre, is it true that when you don't place your eye anywhere, it's already in the, or you better said, you disidentify from the 5 sheets, your eye is already in the right place because it has nowhere to be?
Yeah, so we're not touching the eye. See, for whom is this liberation for? It is for the buddhi that thinks it is the buddhi. It is the buddhi. It's for the intellect that thinks it is that much. So for whom is liberation for? It is for the person. It's not for I. So this means, see, this is a very important distinction, because there's no question of being liberated or not. You've been aware in your body all along. Okay, so now the buddhi recognizes whatever is shining, whatever is making this buddhi aware, is not the buddhi, but is what? Is consciousness. Okay, that's the only difference between an ignorant person and a wise person. Whatever is illumining the contents of this buddhi is not the buddhi. It is that which is behind the buddhi, I, conscious. Whoever that one is, don't even call it I. Whoever that one is, that is the true self. That is that is my nature. You understand a small distinction? Okay, maybe I should just visually draw it. So we have. Okay, we'll call this buddhi. Okay, brain. See, brain is just a physical expression of your mind, right? Your mind cannot operate unless there's a brain. So it needs a brain. It can operate, but it cannot operate stably. So I'm just going to create this little metaphor here. So what this is, we call this, ajnani. Okay, so this fella doesn't know. Now, so suppose we add a buddhi, right? So what does the ajnani understand? That, whatever is giving me light, whatever is making me conscious is what? Is my own, is myself, is, this much. Whatever is making me conscious is me, the little buddhi, okay? The little buddhi. So this means, I am thinking, I am walking, I am doing, I am I am kind of, cooking, I am doing this, I am doing. So this I am is placed where? It's placed in the buddhi. It's taken as the buddhi. It's taken as the thinker. The I am is taken as the thinker, is taken as the doer, is taken as the contemplator, the inquirer. Now, what does a wise person understand? That whatever is making this buddhi, give out thoughts, A, B, C, all day thoughts, A thought, B thought, C thought, D thought, that is not because of the buddhi, but that is because of I, which is other than this buddhi. Okay? So this means, the same I that is what? Shining through and through this buddhi, is the same I that's shining through and through your buddhi right now. Okay? So this means everyone's buddhi right now. So this means, and what's the only difference? What this awareness is illumining. That's the only difference. From your standpoint, your awareness is illumining, consciousness is shining, is lighting up what? Your thoughts that belong to this buddhi. From this standpoint, what is the same consciousness lighting up? The thoughts that belong to this buddhi. Okay, but this means it is not my doing. I am not doing it. It is, you see, the irony is, Andre is not doing it. It is I who is doing it. And this I, when you say this word I, you understand it is the exact same I that is also lighting up your buddhi right now. Therefore, tasmat karanat na jiveshwarayoho beda buddhi svikarya. Therefore, this notion of difference between jiva and Ishvara should not be accepted because, why not? The notion of difference between the person and the total should not be accepted. Why not?
Because it creates limitation.
Because?
It creates limitation.
Okay, why else? In reference to what the words we used so far? Why?
It's the same mechanism on a different scale.
It's what?
The same on a different scale.
Yeah, it's the same on a different level, but why specifically? So we have what? So therefore, for this reason, notion of difference between jiva and Ishvara, don't accept it. It's like don't accept it. Why should I not accept it?
It's only Brahman.
Because it's already Brahman. So what's the only difference?
The
The upadi. So for this reason, because the only difference between you, the person, and Ishvara is upadi, for this reason alone, I should not accept that there's any real difference. The difference is merely mithya. You understand? Mithya, one you got bigger mithya, one you got smaller mithya. The difference is merely mithya between the person and Ishvara. But satyam of both of them is sat and chit. So this is firm, I shall not accept it, because what our life, for the rest of our life, is saying, no, accept it. You're a small person. Now, I shall not accept it, because why? My buddhi is backed up by knowledge. Therefore, I can make an affirmative statement. No, even though I feel like it, I can now, with authority, go back to the model and say, I don't accept it. I am not a small person. I am the truth of the universe. So how is it that you're the truth of the universe? We need to see that further. Next verse. Nanusahamkarasya kinchitnyasya jivasya nirahamkarasya sarvajnasya ishwarasya tattvam asiti Mahavakyat katham abheda buddhihi syad ubhayoho See, we now have a situation here. So this word nanu, it means, it's a common word in the scriptures, nanu, N-A-N-U, nanu. It just, whenever you hear the word nanu, it means, think of a boxing match, you know. Now we're about to start a debate between your philosophy and my view, your view and my view. So whenever you have this word nanu, it means objection. Objection! Wait a minute, what's the objection? They say, what do they say? Now, what is this? The objection is regarding Ishvara and Jiva. And see, this objection, see, before we get to the objection, we can sum up the entire Jiva and Ishvara resolution with one single statement. And what is the statement? We say, Tvam asi. Tvam asi. This is a Mahavakya. Maha means great, Vakya means saying. So it just means great saying. A saying that is, you know, quite succinct, well compressed, well thought of, and it can be contemplated upon. It reveals something. So, and what is this Tvam asi? What is Tat? Tvam is you, Tat is Ishvara, Asi are. So you are God. You are Ishvara. Now, problem will come. Big problems. The moment you say, this is blasphemy. How can you call me God? And this will be a very common objection. So now, doubt is, Ishvara is what? Sarvajna. It's all knowledge. I am what? I'm just a little bit teeny weeny person. So, and so what happens is, not only that, but when you hear Tat Tvam asi, you are Ishvara, then depending who heard that statement, depending on their knowledge, they will misinterpret it, and they will put a million different Jiva Srishti notions onto that statement. And the problem is, this Mahavakya gets just spouted left and right. Tattva asi. So this means it is not put in a proper context. Therefore, it ends up doing more damage than it's actually supposed, than good. So now you got more problems, even if someone's Advaitin, right, they're into a dualist. Now dualist just means one who sees things as different. How would they read the Atma Tattvam asi? One of the statements in Chandogya Upanishad, it says, this is from chapter 6, Tattvam asi, Chandogya Upanishad. It says this Tattvam asi 9 times in Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6. Now, one of the statements in Chandogya is Atma dat Tvam asi. So, see, Sanskrit, when you combine, is sandhi, so you squish it together. So, now Atma dat Tvam asi. So, if you break that apart, you're supposed to get Atma tat Tvam asi. But if you now Atma dat, so the way they split it is they go Atma atat Tvam asi. So Atma atat Tvam asi. So this means you, Atma, are not that. So now, how many times does it say you're not that in Chandogya Upanishad? 9 times. You're not that, you're not that, you're not that, you're not that, which is really weird. Why will I tell you that you are not that if every single person already knows you are not that from birth? And then you've got, you got these Vishishtadvaita. This is another school. And what would they say? Tasya Tvamasi. This is very cute to hear. You are of him. You are his child. You are his daughter, his child. You are of him. And you go, oh, this is so sweet. I am of him. And so now we play the victim role. I'm just a small person. I'm of him. I'm looking for his love. I want to be in his lap. And so it's kind of, builds lots of friends, and it's a lovely community you can build like this with Tasya Tvamasi. And everyone's going to like you also if you start speaking like this. So now this goes on depending how the person interprets. So we got an issue here. So we need to, now let's see, we need to figure this out. What is it talking about? Okay, so let's see what it says here. Yeah, so this nanu, this nanu means objection, like objection. So you see, in Vedanta, we have something called Purva Paksha Siddhanta. Purva Paksha Siddhanta. So Purva Paksha means when you throw some statement that is meant to uphold the philosophy that is being argued, right? So someone was going to make a statement, and so that statement is an objection. That's called Purva Paksha. Now, we have different objections. We have objections coming from books. So this means these philosophies are not out there. They're not communities. Like Advaita Vedanta, you go to Anakati, to Rishikesh. There are so many Advaita teachers. This is an active community. But then you've got objections coming from Sankhya. Now, Sankhya is not something that you don't go to a Sankhya class. You don't advertise Sankhya class. Sankhya is within a book. So therefore, someone now will look at these statements and they will argue it in reference to Sankhya, which is in books. It's imagined questions. It's imagined objections. And therefore, now Vedanta has to what? Has to hold its ground so that to reveal there's no loopholes. And then what we have, we have not only these Sankhya and Vaisheshika, this also is all in books, Sankhya and Vaisheshika, but you also have active communities like Bodha, like Buddhism. They will, also, kind of challenge Vedanta here and there. Or you got, we don't have this anymore, Purva Mimamsika. So this is where you would take the section on rituals and you will say that, the rituals is actually what's going to get you moksha, right? So, because why? You need to perform certain rituals and then you will go to heaven. And so this will, you have to argue these things now. So now what happens is you will have a sparring partner, just like in a boxing match, right? I first need to ask you, hey, do you want to debate me? You see, this is really lovely how it used to go on. Back then in Adi Shankara times, he was a debater. Because what does a debate do? It sharpens your intellect. It reveals, it strengthens your knowledge. So what he used to do is he used to ask politely, hey, so I heard that you're teaching Bodha or Purva Mimamsika or something else, right? Do you want to spar with me? Do you want to debate with me? And they will gladly say, yes, I want to, because they know the value of debates. If you can win and if you can listen to the other person, you will show loopholes in your thinking and their thinking. So now if the agreement is a yes, then they will go into a sparring match. And now the question is, why did these sparring matches exist in the first place? Because, why do you think? Because, different views, right? Different points of view. But mainly because Dvaita, duality, is normal. Upon birth, duality is normal. For everyone, we think we are different. Therefore, constant sparring between Advaita, which says you are not different, and those schools which says you are different. And therefore, we have this, we have this sparring. Now, what is the objection? Let's look at the objection. It says, sa ahamkarasya kinchit nyasya jivasya. So what's the objection now by this Purva Paksha, or this Nanu? So Jiva is what? With Sahamkarasya, with the Ahamkara. So a Jiva has individuality. A Jiva has a sense of a small individual. They are kinchit, little bit of knowledge. A Jiva has a little bit of knowledge. They have a little bit of power. They have a little bit of strength, a little bit of whatever you want to say. They got a little bit of that. They're what? What else is a Jiva? Jiva is mortal. Jiva is born. Jiva goes through aging. Jiva makes mistakes. Jiva commits sin. Jiva cannot remember. So now all of these things is a Jiva, right? Now how can you say that one is what? How can you compare that one against Nirahamkarasya Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya? How can you compare that small, limited, mortal being who is one day closer to their grave? How can you compare that to the one who has no individuality, who is not bound by any restrictions, who is not bound by limitations, who has sarvajna, who is all knowledge, has no partial knowledge whatsoever, knows everything, and therefore is what? Sarva Shakti, Sarvajñas, all knowledge, almighty, all powerful. How can you possibly compare and say you little being are this big thing? So what? Now the problem comes when you say that you are. What is that usually referring to? That. In other words, what would they find errors? That. How can you say you're that? I am this, and you're saying I am that. It's very clear that I am this. So therefore, that implies distance. And so how can I say that I am over there when it's very clear that I'm over here? And then what else do they say? See, when you say the word you, so not only that is prone to error, what else is prone to error? The word you. So when I say you, what am I referring to when I say you? If you're hungry, then if I say you, what am I referring to? You are hungry. I'm saying you is prana. If you are restless, I say you are restless, then I'm saying you are mind. If you are having some back pain, then I say, what is the word you referring to now? You, body sensations. So even the word you changes according to the definition to which we are referencing. However, now imagine that you prana, you mind, you intellect, and so on. But suppose I say, you are aware of your prana. You are aware of your, bodily sensations. Can you dismiss that? Nobody can dismiss that. Even the person who's debating you cannot dismiss that. Otherwise, he or she cannot have a debate. So this means when you look at it from an awareness standpoint, then this is something that is universally true for all of us. So you can say what? You can say, I am aware of heaven. I am aware of the highest of the highest. Suppose you say Brahmaloka. So now let's do a little experiment here. How high do you need to travel up, right, until you come to not you anymore? So you start off as you right now, right? Me. And now how high do you need to keep on traveling, up? How further do you need to keep on traveling until you encounter not you? It's what are you going to encounter in your travels? You're going to encounter worlds upon worlds upon worlds upon worlds. You will encounter devas, you will encounter sun and galaxies and moons and all sorts of creatures and other human beings and other weird looking things. But what's going to be there no matter how far you travel? what's going to be there, equally familiar as is familiar right now. Yeah, you will be familiar. You will be familiar to yourself over there, very far as you are familiar now. So this means throughout your travels, you will only encounter what? Not yous, not you, not you, not you, not you. You will never arrive to not you. So this means there's no amount of distance that you can ever reach to reach the not you, which means that you, the same you at some other location, infinitely spaced out, is the same you that's right here, right now. And this is what we mean by the word limitless. Nothing, no matter how far you go out, can limit you. Nothing can limit you, the awareness aspect. So this means that, now look at, so now to answer this objection, right, what do we need to do? So what is, now let's see here. Yeah, so how are they katam abheda buddhihi? So how are both identical if one is small, one is kinchit, one is sarvajna? How are they possibly identical? And the answer now comes. Iti chena stula sukshma sharira abhimani. Stula sukshma sharira abhimani. Tvam pada vachyarthaha. Tvam pada vachyarthaha. Upadhi vinirmuktam. Upadhi vinirmuktam. Samadhi dasha sampannam. Samadhi dasha sampannam. Shuddham chaitanyam. Shuddham chaitanyam. Tvam pada lakshyarthaha. Tvam pada lakshyarthaha. So this verse wants to now resolve this jiva and Ishvara difference. So let's see what they say. Okay. So we have two meanings. Okay. See, when we say you are that, see, if you take it, in a specific way, the whole thing falls apart. So we have to analyze in what way are we to take this statement. And so they show us two ways. We've got the immediate meaning of a word, of a statement, and this is called vachyartha. We just chanted it, vachyartha. And then we've got the deeper meaning of a statement, which is called lakshyartha. So vachyartha, immediate, and lakshyartha is its deeper meaning. So, there was a show, I like to watch the show called UK Skits. Anyone seen UK Skits? Oh my God, it's so funny. It's one of those older humor, so not the modern, but it's older humor. And they kind of do these little skits, but one of them was a fella drives up to the garage, to the mechanic garage, and he just says, yeah, put 2 tires on the front. And this mechanic just goes over and he literally puts 2 tires on the front of his bonnet. And it's like, what are you doing? I said, put 2 tires in the front. And he's like, I did. But what did he really mean? Put 2 tires on the front and replace my tires. So now, if you take the statement in the wrong way, then the whole thing will just fall apart. If I say, for example, Saskia, bring me water. Bring me water now, and then she goes up And then she just brings like a
Ocean.
yeah, whatever, water, right? I'm like, exactly. Like, what are you doing, you know? So now if I say bring me water, she knows what I'm talking about. So this deeper meaning, lakshyartha, this she knows what I'm talking about behind the words, this is deeper, this is the deeper meaning, lakshyartha. So, you know, now we need to apply the same logic to Tattvamasi. So if we take Tattvamasi with immediate meaning, as in literal meaning, like literal meaning, you are that, then there's big problems. So it says you, sthula, yeah. So stula, sukshma, sharira. So who is this you with a direct, immediate meaning? This is vachyartha. Who is, when I say you, stula, sukshma, sharira. So what is this? You is what? The three little bodies, or the, you know, somewhat big bodies, okay, medium bodies. Okay, so this is you. So this means, you know, if I say, so look at this. Suppose I say to you, you are. You are. Did you know that you are? And I just walk away. What's going to happen in your mind? I am this and 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 oh, and like this and like this and like endless list. So when I say you, immediate meaning, whatever went on in the mind. Did you know that you are? And I just walk away. You know, real serious, right? Like, oh no, you know, I wonder what it was going to say. So all of those narratives is what the immediate meaning is. And to that one, right, the I am old, I am this, I am young, I am worthwhile, I am worthless, I am like this, I am like this. The list goes on and on and on. Whatever this you is, to that you we give the teaching. To that you we say, you are Ishvara. How can I say, you know, this little being and like this and this and this and this? How can you say, I am Ishvara? Well, this is the you. So who is this you? This is the you who thinks is that you. Okay? Whatever thoughts went on. You are, and I walk away. To that you, we tell you are Ishvara. So now, you know what, you got hundreds of conclusions, and so to that you, we need to give the teaching. To what other you are we going to give the teaching? There's no other you than the you with 100 different conclusions. And therefore, we say you are Ishvara. Now, how do we do this? So we have to give an equation. Okay, but what's an equation? Why do we need an equation? And when is an equation needed? We use an equation to do what? To show that there is a sameness on both sides. Even though the equation on both sides looks different, to the buddhi it is not apparent, but there is actually a sameness on the left side and on the right side. So what's an equation used for? It is used to show that even though both sides look completely different, when you resolve the equation, you end up coming to the exact same answer. So this means, you know, we have, for example, we have E equals mc squared. So this is classical. Get rid of the c squared, just means time speed of light. We're not interested in that. So energy equals matter, and matter equals energy. So now, how is matter energy? You know, energy is kind of, I don't see energy. It can be heat energy. You can have, you know, thermal energy. And now, how do you say this energy is solid, concrete matter? Well, the whole formula is just to reveal how that is so. For example, you put matter in your stomach. What happens to this matter? It gets converted into energy. Or you have a plant, and it takes energy. It takes energy from the sun and it converts it into, photosynthesizing. So it converts it into matter, into chemicals. So there's a conversion process. And to arrive to that conversion process, we need to find out. For example, 5 plus 2 on one side, 5 plus 2. And then equals 10 minus 7. 5 plus 2, 10 equals 10 minus 7. Where's the connection? Huh? 10 minus 3, 10 minus whatever, 10 minus 3. Now, where's the connection? Huh? On one hand, you got a 5 and a 2. On the other hand, you got a 10 and a 3. Now, and you got on one side a plus, on the other side you got a minus. The only thing that's kind of equal is the two lines, parallel lines for the equals. Everything else is just different. But if you resolve 5 plus 2 and you get a 7 and you get 10 minus 3, you get you get a 7 there, and you go, so what? Only when I resolved, I now get the same answer. So now the question is, how do we resolve it? So how do we find how the Jiva and Ishvara, see, on one hand you got the Jiva, on the other hand you got Ishvara. No difference. Small knowledge, limited power. On one hand, all knowledge, limitless power. How do we resolve this difference? So now let's see. Now, whereas Ishvara is Evam Tat Pada. Yeah, so Ishvara, on the other hand, as we said, is all knowledge and all power, and is the cause of the universe. Therefore, there is clearly a Jiva and Ishvara difference. I did not cause the universe as a Jiva. I was born into the universe. I did not cause it. Ishvara caused it. Therefore, now, to resolve this, we have to turn from immediate. See, these are the immediate meanings. On one hand, what do we say? You are the 3 small bodies. On the other hand, that's the immediate meaning of you. The immediate meaning of Ishvara is all knowledge, all power. So if I say, I am all knowledge, all power, you see what happens? Yeah, that is called blasphemy. Absolutely. So this means if we stick at that level, then the resolution cannot take place at all. The whole thing will just living in some denial mode. I don't know who, I will not call them teachers. They're just some fellas. I heard them say, when you know who you are, you will suddenly know everything. And then what? And now, and if you ask them, can you please say that in, English? And then, I need a translator. So, so in other words, what? He's supposed to know everything. He's supposed to know, how to fly an airplane and so on. So there is no way we can resolve the equation with immediate meaning, which is Vachyartha. So we have to drop to Lakshyartha. This is the deeper meaning. And what does it say, deeper meaning of you? Shuddham Chaitanyam. Shuddham means pure consciousness. Pure, that means unqualified, not kind of, this consciousness, that consciousness. Just consciousness, pure consciousness. Pure awareness. And this awareness is the one in whom obtains what? Obtains the subject, right? The pramata, the prameya, and the pramana. The one, in whom obtains the individual, the object, and the experience. Okay? And now Ishvara, what's the deeper meaning of when we say Tat, when we say Ishvara? What's the deeper meaning of that word? Which says, see, if I ask you the question, suppose Ishvara says, I am Ishvara. Okay? And then you ask, what is this I am, right? That Ishvara just said. So even Ishvara has to say I am. The limitless being has to say I am, no different than the Jiva also has to say I am. So this means that when Ishvara says I am, who is this I am? Shuddham Chaitanyam, the same consciousness that the Jiva also mentions when they say I am. The only difference is what? When the Jiva says I am, what follows after? I am aware of a little bit of knowledge, but Ishvara, if it were to say I am, it will be I am aware of the entire thing, all knowledge, all power. But both require Shuddham Chaitanyam. Both require consciousness. So this means, you know what? So Ishvara, the whole thing, Ishvara, you remove the upadhi, you remove this, you know, this big Maya upadhi, what do you get? You get I am, you get awareness. You know, you remove what? The upadhi from the jiva, you get awareness. So the only thing that seems to be conditioning is what? This upadhi. So you Ishvara minus Maya upadhi equals awareness. Jiva minus minus jiva upadhi equals awareness. So in other words, it always resolves into the equation is now complete. So what's on one side? Shuddham Chaitanyam. What's on the other side? Shuddham Chaitanyam. So therefore, there is only one consciousness in whom obtains this upadhi, which is on one hand a big upadhi, on the other hand a small upadhi, but it is just an upadhi, no more, no less, which has its entire existence, entire being, depending on this one I am, one existence.
But does this mean Atma is Brahman? Is this actually the meaning?
Yeah, so because, so, you know, just so if you have a world, a big city of golden ornaments, then the whole thing, that gold of the whole thing we call Brahman. But gold, from the standpoint of one ornament, we call that gold Atman. But it's still gold. Gold from the standpoint of a little one, gold from the standpoint of the entire thing, it's just gold. So suppose, little metaphor, suppose that, you know, the wave is, told, the wave in the ocean, right? Let's just use metaphor. The wave in the ocean is told, give up your upadhi. Someone says, give up your upadhi, wave. What does this mean when it says, give up your upadhi? No, just think about it. Give up your upadhi. What does this mean? So suppose, you know, this is a valid statement. A wise wave comes up to a wave who wants to understand, and the wave says, give up your upadhi. What does it mean when it says, give up your upadhi? Because you can't give up anything, but what does it really mean when you give up your upadhi? Cognitive understanding. Anyone else?
The wave realizes it's water. That's a cognitive.
Yeah.
Identification.
Identification, exactly. So change, the only thing that the wave can do is change its focus. And so there's no question of giving up. So this means that you don't need to understand. Think about this. If the entire ocean is nothing but one water, does this mean now you need to understand the ocean? Because the wave is also water. So now do I need to understand the ocean? If I understand, what am I understanding? The very same thing that is through and through me. So this means what? What's the point of understanding Ishvara? You know, the whole thing is just you. So this is why we say, if you understand the one, you gain the all. You gain what? You gain self. You gain yourself. In other words, there's only you here obtaining as, you know, as a jiva, obtaining as Ishvara, obtaining as millions of forms, but either way, it is just one self, which is obtaining through and through all forms in this very moment. And now, so when now the wave, look at this, when the wave says, I am the ocean, because Tattvamasi, I am Lord, I am God. But the wave says, I am the ocean. Is it vachyartha or is it lakshyartha? Is it immediate or deeper, lakshyartha. So this means, when it says, I am the ocean, I am the Lord, I am the ocean, what is it actually saying? I am water, through cognitive understanding, that both the ocean nor the wave can have any existence without the water. Wherever there is water, that's where the ocean is. Where the ocean is, that's where the water is. Where the wave is, that's where the water is. Whether you're speaking about the ocean or the wave, that's exactly where this water is. Therefore, when the jiva says, I am that, I am God, I am Ishvara, what's taking place? Not I am all knowledge, not I am all knowledge, but I am what I am, Sat and Chit, the truth of both the jiva and the Ishvara, both of us. Okay, so we have to what? Understand two things. One thing here, both the wave and the ocean are effects of what? Water. Ishvara and this person are effects of what? Sat and Chit, Brahman. This is all we want to understand. They're just incidental effects that are taking place. It is no big deal at all. One can relax. This is how it's always been. There is no need to worry about. You are swimming in yourself, literally. There's nothing else other than you here. So this means is one more thing we have to understand. So see, there's a difference. They make small distinction. The wise person, they say they now know everything. We say they are sarvajna. So this means sarvajna. This means when you say you know everything, it means you know the content of all things. You are not sarvavid. Ishvara is sarvavid. Sarvavid is what? The one who knows the details. Okay, I don't know the details. Nobody knows the details. Buddha doesn't know the details, but they only know the one truth. So you are sarvajna. You know the truth of all things, but we still do not know how things work. And you don't have to. It's not of your business. It's not of my business. Life is too big to figure things out. I only have to know one thing, and that is the truth of me. The truth of Ishvara is one and the same self. And this self is what we call Atman, the I. So when you say I, this is this one, being that obtains as different forms. Okay, and I want to just close with maybe a story, but see, this is the beauty of this tradition. And what does this tradition do for us? It clarifies things such as when we say Tattvamasi, we don't mean, this blasphemy. We need to be provided this implied meaning. And when we say things like the fourth state, we're not talking about another state. We're just talking about that in whom the three obtains. And things like saying that this is knowing. I know the self intellectually, but I'm not experiencing it. This is another error. I know the self intellectually, but I am not experiencing it.
You're only experiencing it.
Yeah, you're only ever experiencing, the self-evident one. So see, you cannot. How does this work? You cannot. What is there to know? Intellectually. Intellectually is only in reference to understanding, but you're always experiencing the self-evident I. So this is another statement that we have to throw out. And what else do we have? So you're always experiencing the self. They often have this distinction. You go from paroksha jnanam to aparoksha jnanam, from indirect knowledge to direct knowledge. So there's some truth there. But self is always aparoksha, it's always direct knowledge. You always know the self directly. So now when liberation comes, you just know what is this self referring to and not mixing things into it, not mixing all of these bodies and koshas and experiences into it. You just have clarity. That's all Vedanta is, just having some clarity about my experience right now and not mixing things here and there.
I heard as some teacher there's a vritti when you gain liberation, but that's
Sorry, there's one?
That's a thought like a vritti. It's some compound word.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Abhava vritti or samvriti?
Yeah, could be.
What about it?
What does it refer to? Because if it's a cognitive understanding, it's like a constant application of this knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the context is, so I cannot
yeah.
quite answer, but you know, we can say this much. It's just an understanding, whatever this vritti understanding is called, give it some Sanskrit name, I don't know what it is. But there are 4 vrittis, I don't know, but I'm not sure what he's referring to. So see, you have to understand that how is it that you're always experiencing yourself? We said the statement, what is self? The light that shines, that illumines. How is it that you're always experiencing yourself? Where's the proof of that? Where's the proof of that?
I'm always here.
Yeah, you're always here. But there's also another logic. Just the fact that you can use thoughts. Just the fact that there is a thought implies the presence of awareness. So this means we often get lost in our thoughts, but thought itself can be used as a tool to come back to myself, to recognize, hey, because there's a thought, I am here. I never went anywhere. So what happens if, you know, this, now suppose, and we'll close with this, suppose this lakshyartha and vachyartha is not understood. Then what happens? We have some problems. And there's a story, you know, that wants to portray this, and I thought it was a nice story. So there was a king who had 2 gurus. One of them was Advaita Guru, and another one was Advaita Guru, right? And they always have, you know, backup guru there. And he liked to listen to their stories. And so, you know, in the morning, the Advaita Guru taught him, and then the Advaita Guru cancelled out everything that the Advaita Guru taught him. So it was a constant, some teachings over here, some teachings over there. And so now what did the Advaita Guru tell him? You are Satyam, and everything else is Mithya. Okay, this is the teaching. You are Satyam alone, unchanging, you know, undifferentiated, ever free, nothing stuck onto you. Everything else is Mithya. And now, what did Advaita Guru teach him? He said, no, you're small. You're, you know, there's nothing for you here. Work out your stuff. Just, you know, do your duties. You need to now focus on heaven. You need to go to heaven one fine day and kind of, you know, have a great time there. So just do your small things here. And now one day, one of the servants, you know, came to the Advaita Guru. The king's servant came to the Advaita Guru and said to him, you know, the king really fancies the Advaita Guru because he kind of likes being told that he is, you know, full, he is whole, he is without divisions, he is the truth of all things. And when the Advaita Guru heard this, he was kind of unhappy, like, oh, I'm a little bit, not too much, but he was a little bit disturbed to hear this. So one day, they were, their army was going through the forest, and both the gurus were traveling along. And there was a wild elephant that just popped up in the middle of their walk. And the Advaita Guru saw this. And when he saw this, he shouted, "Elephant!" And so everyone, you know, he ran, and everyone just ran. And so, you know, they all kind of came back together at the palace when they arrived at their destination. But it was nighttime. So the Advaita Guru found a little opportunity to walk to the palace, to the king's chambers, and knock on his door and say, "Can I talk to you?" And so the king said, "Yeah, sure, come in. You're my guru. Of course you can talk to me." And he said, Did you know what happened today? Yeah, I know what happened today. And there was a wild elephant, you know, did you see what the Advaita Guru did? Yeah, he ran, you know, we all ran. And so, but what's so good about that? You know, did you see? He saw the elephant. You know, he ran like a shot. He keeps on saying the elephant is mithya. You know, the whole thing is mithya. And now he says he's satyam, and now he's running away from mithya. So how does this sound right to you? There's something wrong here. And the king said, "Oh, I am now furious." The king was furious. He called the Advaita Guru at once, and he said, "Come in." And he says, "What happened today?" he said, I saw the elephant. And what did you do? I ran, you know. Why did you run? Well, because it's a wild animal, you know, it's going to kill us, obviously. So, yeah, but you said that, you know, everything is mithya. The elephant is mithya, the whole thing is mithya. Why are you running away from the mithya elephant? And the Advaita Guru said, you know, Raja, Maharaj, king, you know, who said that running was satyam. The elephant was mithya, running was mithya. I never ran. I never ran. But the whole thing was running, you know. The elephant was running, the bodies were running, but I was not moving at all. So now what happened? The Guru, Dvaita Guru, did not understand this. And so he started to now contemplate on this answer. And then who knows, maybe he switched over later. But that's, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah. Okay. So let's see where we are. Oh my God. Ooh. Oh, we can do this by tomorrow. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.